What's going on, American Football Network? Back here with another video today. And today we're bringing you our Oklahoma Sooners preview and prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Help me reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of August. We are currently at 961 as this video is being made. So we are only 39 away. We can hit that, I think, by the end of August. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks we can hit that. So let's keep up all the great support we've been getting recently, and let's hit that goal. But let's go ahead and jump into the Oklahoma Sooners. So Brent Venables, first year as a head coach last year at Oklahoma, went 6-7, 3-6 in the Big 12. Losses to Kansas State at home, 41-34, at TCU, 55-24, versus Texas, 49-0. They lost to Baylor 38-35, at West Virginia 23-20, at Texas Tech in overtime 51-48, and against Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl 35-32. So Jeff Lebby and Ted Roof, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You look at this roster, they bring back 5 starters on offense, 7 on the defense. And that's kind of what I expect. That's kind of what I expect from this team is, to be much improved defensively. I think that's something that Venables is really going to work on with this team, as he was an outstanding defensive coordinator for Clemson and with Oklahoma before that. So he's definitely a very experienced coach with the defensive side of the football. So I expect them to be much improved. The offense, they only have 5 starters coming back: the center, left guard, 2 wide receivers, and Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, which is the biggest piece to return for sure. But they have some pieces: Javonte Barnes at running back, Gavin Sawchuk at running back, the freshman. Then you look at receiver, you look at tight end, you get Austin Stogner back, who was at Oklahoma, transferred to South Carolina. Now he's back to Oklahoma. That's a big pickup to get Stogner back. Then you look at wide receiver, you still have, Gavin Freeman, Jaden Gibson, Andrell Anthony. You still have some talented guys in there, some guys who were previously some pretty good recruits, and you have them in there. And then you look at the offensive line, and you're very experienced: 3 seniors, 2 juniors. And so I think offense isn't going to be that much of a problem for Oklahoma this year. I think that they're going to be just fine. And so let's go ahead and jump into the schedule part. So week 1, they get Arkansas State at home. I have this as a win. I don't think there's really much discussion needed for this one. I think we all kind of know that Arkansas State doesn't have the talent to compete with a team like Oklahoma for 4 quarters. Now, it is week 1. We'll see what happens. But I completely lost my train of thought. But Arkansas State is not going to be able to compete with them for 4 quarters. It is week 1, though, so you never know what happens. But I think Oklahoma can win this game and win it pretty easily. Then they get SMU at home. This is going to be one of the more interesting ones, but I am giving Oklahoma the win here. SMU, they lose their quarterback in Tanner Mordecai. They lose him. And then, just 2 years ago, they lost their head coach and Sonny Dykes, as he is now obviously the head coach at TCU. They only returned 5 starters on defense, 4 on offense. So, SMU doesn't have a lot of talent, especially offensively, to compete with a team like Oklahoma. I mean, I think SMU will do good in the American, but they're not gonna be successful in the in a game against a Big 12 team. So I have Oklahoma getting a win, but that could be one of the more interesting games for sure. Then they go on the road to Tulsa. I have this game as a win. A little interesting to have this as a road game, but I have them as a win. I think Tulsa is one of the worst teams in the American. I don't really think it's that close of a game. I think Oklahoma wins this by a lot. Then they go on the road to Cincinnati. I have this game as a win. This is their first Big 12 game of the season, and they get the new member Cincinnati. If it For people who haven't kept up with conference realignment, it looks like Oklahoma plays three of AAC teams in a row: SMU, at Tulsa, at Cincinnati. But with Cincinnati moving to the Big 12 last season, that'll be a Big 12 game. But Cincinnati, to me, still has the talent of an AAC team. They haven't really, recruited that great this season since moving to the Big 12. That hasn't been too attractive yet to guys. And so I think Cincinnati still is going to have a bit of a struggle, but I think that Oklahoma will be able to beat them and take advantage of that. Then they get Iowa State at home. I have this game as a win. Who really even knows what Iowa State's going to be? They were terrible last year. They have some talent back, particularly quarterback Hunter Deckers. But who even knows what's going to happen with him now, as he's potentially going to lose his eligibility for life after he supposedly made several bets on Iowa State athletics, including a football game in 2021. So who even knows what's going on with that? Iowa State's a mess right now, and Oklahoma is a better team, more talented, and going to be better coached. And I think that they will be able to, get the win there. And it's a home game for them. I think that just adds to it. So another win for Oklahoma. And then they get Texas in Dallas for the Red River rivalry. And Texas won this game 49-0 last year. And I think Texas wins the game again this year. But I do think Oklahoma will close the gap a little bit. Excuse me. It's not going to be 49-0 again. It's just not. Oklahoma will score, and Texas will not. Texas will not score that many points. This Oklahoma defense is a lot more competent than the one last year. They're going to be able to actually stop them and make some plays and keep them from lighting up the scoreboard like they did last year. But I still think Texas at the end of the day is going to get the win. They're just a better football team on both sides of the football, and I just like the Texas team a little bit better. Then they get UCF at home. I have this game as a win, another new Big 12 team. I think UCF is probably the best of the four Big 12 teams coming in. I think it's UCF, then BYU, then maybe even, then Cincinnati. Then I have Houston. I think Houston will be the worst one. I think they'll be down there with West Virginia for the worst Big 12 team this year. But UCF is the best one, but I still don't think they're ready to take on a full Big 12 schedule. I think this is a team that can go 6-6, 7-5, but I don't think that they're going to be going 8-4, 9-3 in their first season in the Big 12. Now, get them some good recruits, and 2 or 3 years from now, they might be, especially with no Oklahoma or Texas after this season, they very well could be, a top 3 or 4 team in the Big 12. But they're not to the point yet. I think Oklahoma is clearly a much better football team. And I don't think it's even really arguable here. I think Oklahoma gets the win against UCF. Then they get, I would say, their second test of the season outside of Texas. They go on the road to Kansas. This is a team that has almost beat Oklahoma the last 2 years. Yeah, 2 years now. Caleb Williams had to pull some magic in 2021 to beat Jason Bean and the Kansas Jayhawks. And now I believe Jason Bean was quarterback in this game as well, for the majority of this game as well. I think this is the game Jalen Daniels got hurt in. As Kansas only lost by 10 last year. And so the last time that Kansas was at home, that was when they really, really pushed a talented Oklahoma team with Caleb Williams at quarterback and Lincoln Riley's last year at Oklahoma. So, and Kansas is a much better team than they were 2 years ago. So this could be a potential upset here for Kansas and beating Oklahoma. But I do have Oklahoma with the win. I do think they're a little bit of a better football team. I think, excuse me, I think that they're better coached and their players are better fitted for a big time, game like this. That's going to be a closer game as well. I think that, they're just more experienced, and I think the defense is better prepared to stop Jalen Daniels this year. So, I think that they'll be able to hold him to. I wouldn't say shut him down because that's going to be very hard to do. He's a top 10 quarterback and can beat you with his arm and his legs. So I don't really think it's fair to say shut him down. But I will say with him, it is possible to limit him to where you can manage the damage he's done against you. And I think that's what Oklahoma will do, and they'll pick up the win. Then they go on the road to Oklahoma State. I have this game as a loss. This game, Oklahoma beat them by 15 last year, but it's on the road at Oklahoma State this year. It's a big game, and I think that Oklahoma State finds a way to pull out the win. Then they get West Virginia at home. I have this game as a win for the Sooners. Like I said earlier in the video, I think West Virginia might be the worst Big 12 team. They're definitely a bottom three, so easy win there for Oklahoma. And then they go on the road to BYU. I have that game as a win as well. I don't see BYU being able to compete with Oklahoma. I think this will be a little bit of a closer game. A 10, 14, 17-point win for Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to come out and beat them by 20 points. But it's not a game that BYU is going to be able to compete with them for 4 strong quarters consistently. So I have the win there for Oklahoma. Then they get TCU to close out the season. I have this game as a loss. TCU just absolutely destroyed them last year. I still think TCU is going to be a very solid team. I like Chandler Morris at quarterback. And, I think TCU is going to have a pretty solid season again. I think they're going to be up there with Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Texas for the Pac-12 champion, not the Pac-12 championship, the Big 12 championship. I'm sorry, it's early in the morning. The Big 12 championship, and I think that in way of potentially getting back there, they beat Oklahoma to close out the season. So that wraps up Oklahoma's season. I have them going 9-3 overall, 6-3 in the Big 12. That right there is going to be a very good season for Brent Venables in his second season. Going to have them, probably in third place in the Big 12. They'll probably finish in third with that record. So that's not bad at all. But I appreciate all of you guys watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you thought of today's video, and I hope to see you next time.